On July 20th, 2011, Josh's dad Clint posted on Facebook saying that Josh was delivered to Job Corps. Clint had driven Josh 230 miles from Casper to Box Elder Job Corps Center in Nemo, South Dakota. Josh had apprehensions about going to Job Corps, fearing it would be a repeat of high school, relentless bullying from his peers. At this point, Josh had been bullied almost his entire life and didn't have much faith in any sort of institutional anti-harassment policy. Josh was reassured by his Job Corps advisor that it'd be nothing like high school and they had a zero tolerance policy for bullying. She successfully convinced Josh to sign up. Sadly for Josh, he said that it was exactly the same as high school, and the only difference was that you couldn't leave and they pay you a small amount of money. When Josh first got to Job Corps, he decided to cement his badass reputation by going to the pool hall with his guitar and jamming out. Of course, people complimented him on his guitar playing, including an attractive young lady. He had a friend named Leo that used to play guitar with him in the music room. Josh said that he went to a talent show night and was extremely nervous and covered the song In the End by Linkin Park. R.I.P. Chester. On the second talent night, Josh played a song called Dark Side of Love from his fourth album, The Darkness. Josh said that he performed the song very well, but was disqualified due to the lyrics being too dark. On the third talent night, Josh played a song called Blue Diamonds in the Mist. He made for a girl named Brittany, a girl he had a crush on in Job Corps before Stephanie. Paranormal activity. Josh was convinced that Job Corps was haunted. He recalled one particular night when several spooky things happened. As one tale goes, the dorm room went really cold. He and other students saw a woman with brown hair in a white dress walk by the window. An alarm clock then began ominously emitting staticky noises. According to Josh, one of his dorm mates became possessed, threw a clock and punched another student. The student had allegedly been experimenting with binaural beats and was more susceptible to paranormal activity. Job Corps staff cleansed the room with sage after the event. Josh theorized that the spirits fed off the drama, negativity, and the bullying that was occurring on campus. Josh said that the punishment for stealing Mr. Slater's bike for a joyride, we'll come back to this tall tale later, he was forced to clean the storage room above the gymnasium. Josh witnessed a folding basketball hoop fold over on its own accord and a bike fall off a rack, but daringly egged the spirits to try harder if they wanted to scare him. Josh recounted that a tall hooded menacing figure appeared in front of him and vanished. Unfazed by this event, he diligently went back to his duties of cleaning the gymnasium. The cyst. Whilst in Job Corps, Josh developed a cyst on his tailbone. He went to see a nurse at Job Corps, they drained it, but it was still hurting after. During a field trip to the beach, his cyst popped whilst he was sitting down. He was understandably embarrassed as there were hot chicks around and he thought they could smell his cyst. Josh returned to Casper on medical leave and had it removed, and now bears the scar above his ass crack. Second YouTube channel. On August 4th, 2011, Jack Klassen, the guy that gave away Josh's password.
Your password? 4565 Pop-Tarts, bitch! That's right, I am a leader of the 9-gang army, and you're fucked, bitch!
Made a video calling Josh out.
How's it going, subscribers? I'm sitting down here, it's a Wednesday morning, and I'm looking at this guy's videos. His name's Gothic King Cobra, and he's claiming he's not a troll, and he's claiming that he's into all this stuff, like making drinks and stuff. Now, anyway, so Gothic King Cobra, he's putting these videos out. He's saying he's not a poser, he's not a troll, but obviously, if you go through his videos, he's talking about having 12-year-old, 13-year-old girlfriends on the internet. Yeah, really fucking gothic. Probably more like pathetic. Can you please stop making videos?
On December 30th, Josh attempted to reach out on Facebook to the owner of an archive channel called Gothic King Cobra. Job Corps professions for Josh. During orientation at Job Corps, Josh was told to choose 3 areas of work to try out for a week or 2 consecutively, and then choose one that he would like to specialise in. Josh's 3 options were bricklaying, welding, and painting. Josh chose welding because he thought he would be able to build custom cars, but found it very frustrating. Bricklaying proved to be very hard work, and he thought the other bricklaying students were very cocky. Josh eventually settled on painting, thinking it'd be easier, but it turned out it was very difficult for him. He said that his painting instructor was very patient to a point, but disliked Josh's work ethic, disapproving of his daydreaming and his habit of picking up sticks to be used as wands. Josh recalled a time when he cut his hand while painting on a roof and was sent to the nurse. At this point, his instructor told Josh he couldn't do painting anymore due to his absent-mindedness. Under the impression that he liked to read, they suggested office administration or computer tech instead. Josh said that he enjoyed computer tech for a short period of time, but got bored of it very quickly. Finally, Josh landed on answering phone calls and general office administration as his choice of trade. His teacher, Mrs. Carla, thought Josh had a nice voice and that answering phone calls would be a perfect fit for him. Job Corps made the rules. Josh breaks them. Josh spoke about jacket leaders, students aged 16 to 18 that would help enforce the rules at Job Corps. Josh quickly learned that Job Corps is just like prison. Cigarettes were a currency. Similar to the magical trips to Hogsmeade in Josh's favourite novel series Harry Potter, every 2 weeks students were taken to a nearby town, perhaps Sturgis, South Dakota, and some would procure cigarettes to sell for $1 or $2 each. It was against the rules to front and sell cigarettes in Job Corps, but students would sell other things like drinks and food from town. Josh said that he did buy and front cigarettes, but made sure to pay them off because he heard stories of students getting beat up for not paying off their cigarette debts. Josh said that if he broke a rule at Job Corps, you would get written up by the jacket leaders and you would have to go to the student court. The head of the SAC/pool hall was an ex-Navy SEAL Marine scuba diver named Mr. Slater. Josh recalled a time when he huffed cologne and went to a dance at Job Corps. Full of energy, he danced to dubstep and later, feeling mischievous, went outside under the cover of darkness to steal Mr. Slater's bicycle and rode it around campus. He was chased down by a jacket leader who ended up cutting himself after yanking the bike from Josh. Josh was punished and sent to clean the storage room above the gymnasium, which he had no problem doing. Bullying at Job Corps. Another student made the terrible decision to harass Josh, leaving him no choice but to use a magical power he dubbed dreamwalking, enabling him to invade people's dreams and give them nightmares. One day, during a 10-minute break, one of Josh's dorm mates that he didn't get along with, but still respected, began to choke out random kids. Josh challenged him and asked, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" and walked away. However, when Josh had his back turned while smoking a cigarette, the assailant did in fact choke Josh out. Josh wanted to kick his ass, but restrained himself. Embarrassing stories. Paintballing was one of the activities available at Job Corps. Josh said that once he was paintballing in early fall, sporting only a mesh t-shirt and pajama bottoms with no underwear. A hot chick walked by and he got a boner, which she noticed and proceeded to run away screaming. An Asian kid named Ploge allegedly smacked his boner. While doing his hair in the bathroom one day, Josh had another experience with this student. Ploge came in to make ramen noodles in the sink and asked to see Josh's penis. Josh wasn't sure if he was messing around or not. One evening, craving some intimacy, Josh made love to a grapefruit. He cream pied into it and threw it into a trash can. Another student asked Josh what he was doing, and he said that he told them he had fucked a grapefruit. He didn't want to lie and probably thought it was funny. Inevitably, this spread around campus and his fellow students began to make fun of him. Instead of reacting with wrath, Josh poked fun of himself by loudly asking, "You know what would be good right now? A grapefruit," during a smoke break in the pavilion. Love quest at Job Corps. A female student that Josh described as dumpy would constantly stare at him. This made him reflect on how he would behave obsessively over girls in high school, and said that he was starting to understand how they felt when he would stare at them. Josh's first crush at Job Corps was a girl named Brittany. He described her as having pale skin and blue eyes and gave her the name Miss Blue Diamonds. Brittany was initially creeped out by Josh, but would become friendly with him. Unfortunately, she left Job Corps before he could ask her out. After she left, he turned aside from his love quest, gave up on getting a girlfriend, and instead vowed to focus on his studies so that he could finish Job Corps and leave heartbreak behind him. Sometime after Josh gave up on finding love at Job Corps, Josh finished driver's ed and was leaving the class. A friend of his named Amy, who also had Asperger's, approached him, told him about her friend Stephanie, who had taken a liking to Josh, and asked him if he would like to meet her. Josh was shocked and apprehensive that she would be ugly. He was pleasantly surprised, however, when he met her and found her very attractive. On April 16, 2012, Josh and Stephanie officially began dating. Just 4 days later, Josh said that he'd received a hand job from Stephanie and performed cunnilingus on her and felt her breasts. Josh and Stephanie had sex for the first time on May 6th in a female bathroom for about 2 minutes and 46 seconds. He claims other students were impressed with Josh and Stephanie and that they got away with it without getting caught by Job Corps staff. Josh said that he and Stephanie had sex on campus numerous times and said that they became a popular couple. Josh said that he went to prom with Stephanie at Job Corps. The magical night was his first prom, a highlight of which was that the DJ gave him a shout out. Later, after Josh got kicked out of Job Corps, Stephanie expressed wanting to drop out to be closer to him. He discouraged her, saying he fucked up and that she should stay and finish Job Corps. She completed her course a year later. Drugs. Josh recounted getting high in arts and crafts class from paint fumes whilst making a toy car. Josh said that he had snorted morphine pills whilst in Job Corps. Josh said that he made the infamous jailhouse acid out of toothpaste and an orange, and said that he smoked it and ate it. Josh has told many stories about his drug use during his time in Job Corps, the truthfulness of which is dubious. His weed habit in particular was the one that would have consequences of his time in the program. Kicked out of Job Corps. In a strange twist, the jacket leader who intervened in his so-called suicide attempt was the one who ratted him out for smoking weed, leading him to be kicked out of Job Corps. Josh claimed that this jacket leader was a hypocrite because he would also engage in smoking weed on campus and bragged about it with his friends. Following this, Josh was driven to a homeless shelter where he spent 5 days. Clint was very angry at Job Corps for not telling them that Josh had been kicked out and, understandably, was furious with Josh. He asked Josh if he was a druggie now that he smokes weed. Clint gave Josh an ultimatum. He had 2 weeks to get a job or get his long hair cut. Clint also came up with new house rules that Josh had to abide by whilst he was back at home. After returning to Casper, Josh claimed he sent Job Corps an appeal letter, but nothing came of it. Conclusion. Following the expulsion from the Job Corps program, things looked dire for Josh. He was back home with his family, having once again disappointed his father. However, constant imminent threats of haircut and group homes would motivate Josh to get a job and eventually gain some measure of independence. He had a girlfriend, worked consistently at a job he wasn't completely useless at, and was growing his YouTube following. Inevitably, as with all things in Josh's life, failure was looming and we would begin to see how Josh's life would spiral out of control in the coming years.